think we are live. Let's put a hat on to get this hair out of my frickin' face. God damn it. I'm not dyslexic, but I have no idea how to, reverse mirror myself in the fucking mirror. Okay, you know what? This is just gonna have to do. This isn't a fucking beauty contest. Alright, what's up, everybody? In today's video, I'm back. I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. You gonna go in there, little kitty? Sorry. Just making sure all the kids are settled before we start this. Are you gonna go in or not? Okay, you take your time. No one's waiting for you. Alright, so we have a lot of things to talk about, some of which will be a reiteration of what I talked about with Sacha yesterday on our live stream, so apologize if you have to hear this twice, but it's commentary that I don't think you're going to hear anywhere else in this sphere, so just deal with it, okay? I don't know where exactly to start, but I think we're just going to start with the fashion stuff once again, because, sorry for this lighting, Jesus Christ. Because I find it the most interesting, and quite frankly, I feel like I am the most qualified person out there to talk about this stuff because it hits off every one of my little spheres of influence, shall you say. And yeah, so we're just going to be talking about Balenciaga again. I just want to reiterate what I said yesterday, and that is, I'm not a commentator, I'm not anything like that. I feel like at the core, I am just an observer. I am an inveterate wallflower, a people watcher, always just taking it all in and absorbing it and just putting stuff together, okay? And right now, I don't know if it's just because we're approaching this full moon in Gemini, or just the major other astrological shifts that will be happening early in the new year, but there are pieces of the chessboard that are a little volatile right now. You have the whole Kanye Fuentes Trump stuff going on, and then you have this Balenciaga stuff going on, and they're all very connected in my opinion. You have Kanye and that whole crowd naming them and all of that. Meanwhile, you have Kanye's wife, who is a face for Balenciaga, embroiled in that whole controversy, and rightfully so. I'm going to try to be nuanced about that conversation because I have a soft spot for art, not child corn, but art, and I just want to talk about it, So Balenciaga obviously had these grotesque images of, children with bondage teddy bears and all of the child corn stuff, but additionally, you have to look at the picture and you can pick up little weird symbolism and inserts that are just so obvious you can't look past it. And one of them, for the people who follow Kardashian stuff, remember a year ago when Kim wore this not really a dress, but she basically covered herself in yellow caution tape that just said Balenciaga all over it. So in these photos there's these rolls of that tape, that caution tape, that yellow caution tape, but they spell Balenciaga with BAAL, etc. So it's ball, and we're just going to flick over here to a quick Google search. And Baal is a god worshipped in many ancient Middle Eastern communities, aka Semitic communities, especially among the, who would have thought, the Canaanites. Where do the Canaanites come from? Baal is a demon described in demological books. It's a title and honorific meaning. It means owner, lord, and again, the Semitic languages. And I just think it's a little bit interesting that you have on one side of this Kardashian family, they're naming them and going, full hundies. Like I said, I think Kanye is a reactionary and he's wandered into an arena that I don't quite think he fully understands, but whatever, we're just here, soaking it all up, eating our popcorn and just watching this all play out, because I don't think in our lifetimes we've ever seen something quite like this before. And I don't know, I find it very interesting. And then to have, I'm a fan of Juicy Scoop and Heather McDonald, but she is the only one in that sphere really talking about this, and I find that very interesting, because I think what she's talking about is what a lot of people are talking about, and that's that they're putting this stuff together and they're like, well, we've heard all of this from like QAnon weirdos for so long, but like now we're putting two and two together and it's just a little bit too much. And then to push that point forward, they're confused because nowhere in the mainstream news are they talking about this. And they're like, why aren't they talking about this? Especially after all the Epstein stuff and everything like that. So we're just going to listen to, so the Juicy Scoop will do 2 shows. They'll do one Tuesday and one Thursday. I'm going to show you clips from the Tuesday episode. They cover it more in the Thursday episode and really double down on it. And again, she's the only one I see out there really talking about it. You'll get like some people on the right wing calling it out, but I don't think they really understand the fashion angle to all of this. And you got to remember that the fashion industry is similar to the art industry in that you have these like huge companies that can like value their, say like a haute couture gown, that's valued at like $500,000, $1 million or whatever. Maybe it's not worth that much, but you can like just money laundering. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they all do it, but I think a lot of that goes on in the background. And we're just seeing like the tip of the iceberg with this. So we're just going to listen to Heather McDonald for a second. So let's flip over. There are 2 pieces that I wanted to talk about. Let me turn the microphone around.
With everything that we know as far as like conspiracy theories and what certain things mean, and then they shoved the document in with it. It was so deliberate that something like cancel culture, you and I both know. I don't dig cancel culture either. I think people say and do a lot of ignorant things, and I feel like we need, as a society, to contribute to having teachable moments, right? This is horrifying.
Well, and it's important that...
Am I the only one who feels this way?
No, I mean, I think, listen, I'm on TikTok. No, a lot of people are horrified, but I think there are people that don't buy it, that don't, can't afford it, and or never had a desire to, and they're like, look, fucking told you so. I mean, everyone thought we were, QAnon weirdos or whatever, when there's not. There's a level of that, and then there's a level of there's a lot of truth to it, and there always has been. And they're sadly, it's not everybody. So it's like, I hate that, where it's like these people run Hollywood, or everyone in Hollywood is this elite, eating the blood of babies. And I've always said, no, it's not. But does it exist? Yes. Just like it exists at a trailer park. It exists. But when you have people at a really high level, it can be even, I think, more dangerous, more covert, more damaging. And it's that thing that I always talk about with like Woody Allen movies and stuff, where you watch this whole movie and you're like, why does a 17-year-old girl want to fuck this old Woody Allen? And then by the time you've watched an hour and 20 minutes of it, you're like, oh, I guess he is pretty charming. Oh, I guess she is mature enough to be with him. And that's what the media does. I mean, that's what certain media does.
Right.
And the more you see it, the more it's normalized, the more it's not a big deal, the more it's... What was a shocking storyline... They have every right to share the information that they've gathered of why they believe it involves corn, like so that they don't. And like the censorship of stuff too, that a lot of big platforms and papers and things will not allow you to even say certain words on a show. So they call it child corn, like so that they can talk about how awful it is, because the word will then pop up and their video won't be shown. Or I told you I'm part of this movie called Sudden Death. Mm-hmm. Look it up. It involves what's gone on in the world for the last 3 years, and they're showing a video of me of when I fainted and suffered that fall, and they have every right to share the information that they've gathered of why they believe I fainted. Right. Because I don't know why I fainted. No one at the Phoenix Hospital knew why I fainted. I took every single test, and thank God I'm okay, because there's no way to prove it unless you actually die and they open you up. So I'm just recovering from the hit on my head.
That no one can give you an explanation why it happened.
Well, there's people that think that they know why.
Right.
And that I think you guys can figure out what I'm talking about.
Right.
And they have every right to go discover it, talk about it. Like why not?
No, I
feel like throughout that whole time I was on the right side of history. I did what I thought was the appropriate thing to do. I got the appropriate shots to go out and perform. I never was judgmental of anybody that did not get the shots. I never told someone that, there was one person that was going to perform with me, and I had to say, you have to get it because the venue is insisting on it.
Right.
And asking for that card and everything. Mm-hmm. And I feel badly about that, but they made it work. And, but I was like, look, I just need to perform, and I did what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And there's people that said, no, I'm not going to do it, and have lost their jobs and this and that. And this is all coming up now, and people are all talking about it, and go talk about it. Thank God there's other platforms to talk about. So if a platform will allow it, find another one, talk about it, talk about it.
I also thought it was interesting.
Yeah, so I just wanted to include that because I think we obviously can be in an echo chamber in these communities and stuff, and I just find it very interesting when outside of these echo chambers there are these other people sort of like being like, what's going on here? And Heather McDonald, she calls out the censorship. They all know, okay? They all know that something very, very strange is going on here. And something in like the middle ground of their mind that usually just processes stuff, as NPCs typically do, is something is getting caught up in those gears, and they're like, wait a second, and not everyone, obviously, but I think like they talked about in the show today, people are like, how come I can't say these things? And now this big thing is happening with Balenciaga. I can't even use these words to talk about so and so because of all the censorship. So I think people are like slowly, again, I'm not trying to be too white pilled here, but I think the bourgeoisie at least is a little bit unsettled, and rightfully so. And I almost want to, I have a whiteboard on the other side of this computer. I almost want to drag it over here so I can like show you like how these dots all connect, because I'm pretty sure that the Kardashians own like 20% of like Balenciaga, I'm not mistaken. There's some connection there of investiture. And remember, Jared Kushner owns or is the major investor in Kim Kardashian's like shapewear fashion line. Jared Kushner is obviously married to Ivanka Trump, and it just, I almost think of like World War I and all these families who have these conflicts of interest, but it's almost in this like weird way playing out again here. And again, I don't know how this is going to shake out. I don't really want to make any hypotheses or anything like that. I just think there are a lot of potential frictional elements here that have, the probability of going kaboom. Again, our media is savage and hyper suffocating, so who knows where this will lead, but people are sus. People are very sus, and I'm very curious because, you know how I've said, like, this isn't all going to change until, like, the fashion changes, and what we've been stuck in for the past, like, 10, 12 years is normcore, which is just, it's the sweatpants, it's the, like, looking like a prisoner. No judgment, like, we all do it, like, it's like the big sweatshirt with then, like, it's just this look, okay? And Balenciaga, like, encapsulates that look. And if Balenciaga is being, like, canceled like it is right now, I'm just interested to see if that overflows into just, like, just generally how people approach what they're wearing, Maybe I don't want to look like the Balenciaga aesthetic now because of what's been going on, and who knows what happens, but yeah, I just think the whole like sweats and sneakers and socks thing, I feel like that could be on the way out, and I feel like the Kardashians' influence could be on the way out as well. I don't know, it makes me kind of because I had watched most of the recent season that's on Hulu of the Kardashians with a friend of mine, and in the more recent episodes, Balenciaga has been doing this collaboration with American sportswear company Adidas, no other than Adidas, and they have these like, think like pro soccer jerseys, and it's like just like basically like think soccer jerseys of like mid 2000s, and they just have them like sort of oversized with like Balenciaga on them, and there's like this bright neon orange one that I was like, oh, I really want to get that, it looks kind of cool, but now I'm like, no, I don't think so. And what's interesting is I have the most recent issues of W Magazine and Vogue here, and W doesn't have a Balenciaga ad. Vogue has one ad, but it doesn't show, it just shows this Adidas collaboration. It doesn't show the new images, which I find very interesting. But, I mean, we've been going through these trash magazines for months and months now, and you see the type of content they put out. It's all about, it's the most depressing stuff in the world. It's about, birth control. It's very anti-white. It's very, like, girl boss, but in this, like, sadomasochistic sense. It's very, very weird, very strange material they put out. They do huge exposés on Democratic politicians, Zelensky's wife, like all of that stuff. They go hard on that stuff. And the photos, like, this one, it's a cover, it's J-Lo. Like, we need a fucking J-Lo Vogue cover right now. And the other one is fucking Mariah Carey. Two quote-unquote stars from the 90s that 30 years later we're bringing them out again and again. But the J-Lo stuff in here is so cringe. I was piecing through this on the plane ride to Phoenix, and just like, look at how unfriendly these pictures are. They're not like, it's not good photography. She looks like upset. Like, it's not good. Like, I don't understand, like, the expression and stuff, it's just like not friendly. I don't know. I tried to flip through WW, was boring. It's very, very black. It's unbelievable. So I want to continue to cover this stuff as it goes on in this realm, because I feel like the only thing I know how to talk about. So get ready for more of that. Where do we want to go next? Oh, Mr. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, Mr. Elon Musk. His whole like Neuralink thing, I guess, is being up for FDA approval or whatever. It just, you can just like see how they play this stuff, and they get people like sort of involved and almost in love with these characters, and then they just like sneak in through the back door their nefarious plan. You know, because everyone's in love with Elon because of Twitter. And sure, it's great that Twitter's opened up. I think we should be spending more time outside and with our families, but the world is how it is right now, and I get it. That's where people get their news and everything like that. But Twitter is still a very dark place. And if you're spending like 6+ hours more of that a day on there, it's just like, I don't know if that's the best use of your time, but like it's good that you can speak freely there. I mean, even Heather McDonald in that clip you just saw talks about how there are only certain platforms that you can really speak your mind. So people get it, you know? But it's just like unfortunate, because then you have this whole Neuralink thing, and it's like, I've already talked about the technological blind spot that the entire conservative right has, but this is like, and I think most people are like turned off by the idea of putting a chip in your brain, but these things like snowball very, very quickly. And I just don't know still how much I trust Elon Musk. Again, I'm sure he's done great things, but then there's stuff like this where I'm like, I feel like he like sets up the field in such a way that then he exits the field and other players get into that same field and use that network he creates to then cause all sorts of shenanigans. So we'll be watching that one closely as well. The last thing these fucking people need is a chip in their non-existent brains, you know? God. And some of these people are so fucking overweight that it's like, do these chips work when you have that much adipose tissue like all over your body? I don't know. This is just like a weird one. I didn't realize how like pro-Jew Breitbart is, I guess. I guess I had some sort of, in my head, what I thought of as Breitbart is very different now, seeing how they're covering the whole like Kanye stuff and everything like that. They're very Zionist, in my opinion. I don't know if they were that way when Andrew Breitbart was running the show, until of course he mysteriously died on like that jogging excursion or something like that. Don't know what happened there, but I didn't realize how pro-Israel Breitbart is. And maybe that's just what I'm seeing. If anyone else sees something different, please let me know. But Breitbart seems very pro-Israel. The Dutch farmers, we talked about that mess yesterday with Sacha. Very, very scary, because that's like attacking a whole way of life. It's not just like a job per se. It's so involved. And again, these farms, especially in that part of the world, have been passed down for hundreds of years through generations, you know, and to have them just compulsorily purchased by the Dutch government because of the climate change hoax, it's so sick. And again, this tiptoe that just doesn't seem to want to stop continues. And I feel so bad for these farmers. It's like, what the fuck do you do, you know? I don't know. It's a very scary situation. And most people, I don't know. Farming is not easy. It's, you know, in theory, it's very, very simple. But at the same time, there's a lot of sort of tricky know-how that you have to remain like consistent on. Otherwise, you just literally won't eat. You know what I mean? You can't just like wing it and hope for the best, because all of a sudden you don't have a crop yield and now you starve to death. And a lot of these tricks and stuff are passed down, you know, in a hereditary sense. And I've grieved for this loss of knowledge for years, even on this channel. And I'm definitely like a neo-agrarianist, if that's like the word. but it's just sad, and obviously this stuff is so backwards that it's not even funny that you would be attacking, farmers for climate change. Again, it's a hoax, but they just people are very, very sick, and I hope the Dutch are okay. Half of my family is Dutch, so I just feel especially connected. And it's this half of my family that they themselves are farmers, so it's a little bit depressing. Uh, on a random note, I heard this song. I'd never share music on here because I'm always so late to the party. But first of all, I'm a big fan of lullabies. I love lullabies. There are so many that I enjoy. And this song that I heard recently kind of has a lullaby quality to it. And it took me a while to realize that it's a Spanish song, first of all, so I know that's going to turn most of you off, but it's called Disfruto by Carla Morrison. Disfruto by Carla Morrison. Definitely recommend listening to it. I heard it the first time and it almost gave me chills. She's a very pretty voice, and she sounds like Lana Del Rey in her first couple albums. I really like that song. And I hope you check it out because it's very, very good. Okay, next we're going to flip over. I talked about this again on my live stream with Sacha yesterday. It's from Ann Coulter's Substack, and it's a blog post on Joy Reid. And I definitely recommend you reading this because how it's written, it's just better to read that way than what I'm about to do and trying to narrate the article or orate. I don't know the fucking words. Says, this Thanksgiving, Joy Ann Reid has much to be thankful for. Why such a sourpuss, Joy Ann? On the whole, Life and MSNBC are treating you pretty well. And yet, over the last 10 years, you have complained pretty much nonstop about how badly you, and people who look like you, are treated in America. I will take on faith, Joy Ann, that your life up to the age of 16, spent in the racist hellscape that was 1980s Denver, Colorado, was practically a maelstrom of cross burnings, night riders, and segregated water fountains. But let's focus on the recent past. Consider, you were admitted to Harvard with SAT scores that would have gotten any Asian kid disowned by his parents. You managed to keep your show at MSNBC with ratings that would get a white person canceled. People tried to laugh harder at your jokes, your excruciating jokes, than they would for a male of any race. Plus, I have it on good authority that no one at MSNBC has pestered you about touching your hair. Your brief daytime show on MSNBC made ratings history, garnering only 38,000 viewers in the demo its first day on air, the lowest for the entire network. That inched up to 56,000 viewers 2 days later, the second lowest for the network. Ronan Farrow's show debuted the same week, but while he was quickly cashiered for poor ratings, you were promoted, even though he is white and you are black. Dodged a bullet there. You weren't prosecuted for making a false FBI report when you claimed that right-wing saboteurs had hacked your blog, planting long, venomous threads about gay people. It seems your go-to attack for celebrities and Republicans is to accuse them of being gay. For example, you described Dick Cheney topping off Sean Hannity, and repeatedly ran your top 5 totally not gay celebrities of the year. Nor were you fired for your preposterous and quickly disapproved lies about having been hacked when it was you who mocked people for being gay, including Oprah. Your many, many blog posts sneering at gays were written just 10 years earlier, when you were an adult and a professional journalist. Meanwhile, teenagers, yes, even white ones, are being thrown out of college for the stupid things they said on Snapchat when they were 15. But you came through like a champ, without consequence, despite being black. Indeed, instead of firing you, MSNBC gave you a primetime show. This is the network that canned Chris Matthews, astonishingly another white male, for telling girls they're pretty. And who took the humiliated Matthews time slot? You did, despite the fact that he is white and you are black. Actually, if you think about it, in a deeply racist, majority-white country, you've done pretty well issuing non-stop libels against white people. Here are 3 recent Joy Ann Reid quotes. I'll say it again. People on the right would trade all the tax cuts for the ability to openly say the N-word like in the good old days. Currently, most K through 12 students already learn a kind of Confederate race theory, whereby the daughters of the Confederacy long ago imposed a version of history wherein slavery was not so bad and had nothing to do with the Civil War, and lynchings and violence never happened. Your immigrant parents came here in the late 1960s, settling in Iowa. Perhaps you rank Iowa up there with Denver as a bastion of Jim Crow, but even you would have to concede it was a step up from Guyana and the Congo. While having zero American slave ancestry, you have managed to elbow aside actual descendants of American slaves, gobbling up the benefits earned by their ancestors' suffering intended for them. That was a good deal for you. Finally, notwithstanding the white power structure, you have a job that reportedly pays $1.5 million a year, which is more than 99.9% of Americans make, even several white ones. All in all, that doesn't sound so bad. Like I said, go read it. It was funny. I had to share. I like Ann Coulter. I think she's funny. I obviously don't agree with everything she says on certain things, but she is pretty and smart, and she's been around for a while. And fuck those Cornell kids who had the audacity to sit there and call her like hateful and blah 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 during her speech at Cornell, because the privilege, the absolute opportunity, the golden opportunity to see Ann Coulter speak free of charge live on campus is something that they just pissed away, and I hope in later years they come to regret what a great opportunity they had right in front of them. Let's see here. The China stuff is scary. I don't really want to go into that. We'll talk about this. So we were going through this over Thanksgiving with my family, and I'm just curious as to what you guys think about this. When you have a calendar in your mind, what does it look like? That's the question. When you're thinking of like dates and placing things and just like the timetable you have in your mind, what do you picture? I know, like, for some of my family, they just have like the standard sort of calendar that they flip through in their mind. But interestingly, for me and all of my siblings who went to Catholic school, when we have in our mind like the calendar and like placing stuff within a year, it's an oval. And we were trying to think backwards as to like where that comes from. And it's like the Catholic liturgical calendar or something. And it's just very curious to me that that's how like we envision time in our heads. It's this sort of oval shape that I guess spirals up with each new year. And I'm just curious what you guys picture when you think of like time and calendars in your head. Because I thought I was the only one that thought like that until my siblings were like, no, we think like that too. And I'm like, no way. And then, like I said, we put two and two together. And I think it's just having this image in every classroom of the Catholic liturgical calendar and using that. And I'm not like mad at it at all, especially like hyperimposing that like on the zodiac and having, you know, more of a geometric circular vision of time rather than the Judeo-Christian version of time, which is there's a beginning date and an end date, and it's all linear, and we're just, you know, marching and progressing forward into eternity, as opposed to, I guess, like the Hindu and the Mayan ideas of like everything happening all at once right now in concentric circles, I guess. I don't know if any of that fucking makes sense, but I'm just going to leave you here with a couple quotes that I heard over the holidays that I thought I'd share because I thought they were rather profound. The first one is, "The difficulty is not so great to die for a friend." I don't know, I liked that. The next one was, "The way you turn a soulless world into a sacred one is to treat everyone as sacred until they remember they are sacred." Easier said than done. You know, I love you so much, but I liked that one. There's another one that goes along with it. I don't remember it exactly, but it's something like, "You will never not stare into the eyes of someone who isn't loved by God," or something like that. And I just bring that up, again, I'm totally on the no amnesty, no forgiveness train for all of the perpetrators of the chaos of the past 3 years. But when it comes to things, I don't know. It's very, very hard. Very, 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 very hard to look at the world around you as something sacred as opposed to something soulless, given everything that we've even talked about today. It's very, very hard to do, but I'm trying. I'm going to continue to try because I can't live in this clown world anymore. I'm trying to find a way out of it. It's not easy. There's a lot of drama in my personal life going on right now that has had me shooketh to the chorus, that I am not at liberty to speak about on here yet. Hopefully there will be a time in the future that I can. But it's crazy out there. It is really fucking crazy. I hope you all are well. I was in Phoenix, like I think I told everybody, over the holidays. Technically not Phoenix, it was like Scottsdale, but it's all in Maricopa County, and I had such a nice time. The area of like Scottsdale and everything that we were at, I think Phoenix in general is like pretty clean. They have a pretty good ethos there as to like trash and stuff, because it just ends up in the desert and doesn't decay. But the area that I was in was very, very clean. No homeless, no like going under like bike bridge paths and it smells like pee and there are needles and stuff everywhere, which I kind of expected, but it was pristine. I don't know, I could live there. I don't know about the summers there, but the temperature was like mid-70s when I was there, and it was flawless. We went to a Zach Brown concert, which was really cool. Just in the sense that, again, it was like 100,000 white people under one roof, and that was awesome. We went horseback riding, which stole my soul. I love doing that so much, and it was beautiful during golden hour. It was such a vibe in the desert. I can't even describe, and yeah, it was so good. We played Top Golf one day. I'm not like a big golfer. That's like the rest of my family. But Top Golf is always fun. I can whack a ball pretty decently. What else did we do? We went on a bunch of hikes. I had access to bikes there, so I did bikes a whole bunch. Biked like everywhere in Scottsdale, actually. They have a really nice, like the roads and the sidewalks and everything is set up there very well for biking, which was really cool. Again, hikes, ate a lot of really good food. Thanksgiving was fine. We had an unconventional Thanksgiving because we were like talking about it, and we were a big group. We were like 15 people, and we were talking about like what food we should do for Thanksgiving. And we kind of came to the consensus that like apart from a couple Thanksgiving normalities, we were like, yeah, we don't want to do that. So we had like chicken wings and salmon and asparagus and that type of thing, and it was great. It was really great. We played a bunch of games, a bunch of cards, and I have to say, a week of like family and just like being outside primarily, and like minimal tech and being on phones and everything like that. It's really good for the soul. I'm very grateful that I have a very nice family. I know everyone's is not like that. But the antidote to this soullessness that I was just describing earlier, I think is a lot, I'm not going to say easier, but the answers to it might not be so far off. And yeah, just being around people like all day, and being outside and not being on your phones and staring at a TV screen and wandering off into your room to like watch YouTube. I don't know, very good for the soul. And it's not easy, obviously. You have your limits, and you're like, you know what, I just need to go for a walk by myself and regroup or whatever. But it was very, very good for the soul. So it's December 1st now. Holy shit, can't believe it. But yeah,